Wubba lubba dub dub bitches, take two.
You might let me know if you can hear my mom in the background. She's talking to my aunt to help us get more water from Jersey.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Can't really.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
It's a shitty day.
In all
Welcome
honesty,
back.
though, it's been a really weird last couple of days, to be honest. Like the other day, I felt really horrible. Me and Darian, we went to the Natural History Museum, which was nice. And we just strolled around for a few hours and looked at fossils and stuff. It was cool. But then we got home and he wanted to go to Starbucks in the rain and then the fog, which was nice.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a London fog for the aesthetic. And on our way there, though, there was a very drunk man with a backpack and coat, and he clearly lived somewhere. He clearly wasn't homeless.
Right.
But he was passed out in the rain on a backpack, snoring. And he clearly like crumpled, like he fell and like landed on his backpack, I suppose, or maybe he like had enough energy to put his backpack under him.
Okay.
And I felt really horrible because I froze.
Right.
And Darian, and I mean, I don't blame him, but he was overstimulated already, and I'm trying to cope with his overstimulation. He was getting really upset, and he started getting the tantrum that happens when autistic people get overstimulated. And he started getting angry, and he was really emotional, and I couldn't calm him down and handle that. And I was like, maybe I should call the police. And I started disassociating, and I was like, this is a day. So we like got there, and he's upset, and then on our way home we avoided that guy, and which I felt bad for. As you can imagine, that's kind of where I'm going. I felt horrible about this, and then we avoided him, and on our way home there was someone somewhere moaning on the other, like 2 blocks down or whatever we walked, and I couldn't find them, and I was like, what is today? I was like, what is happening with this day? And I was like, I don't know where. And he's like, and Darian was like, stop looking. And I was like, but people are hurt today. I don't know what's going on. Right. And I was, of course, disassociating at this point. And I'm trying to get him home because he's like, again, still overstimulated. And I'm like, I need to just get us home. Right. I need to get okay because I can't help him if I'm not okay.
You have to get back to base.
Right. And then today I wake up and I hardly even remember what day it was. I'm thinking it's Monday, and then it's Sunday. It was weird. And then I get the message, and then this kind of created hell because, like I said to Sophia, like my mom's scrambling to get us water. Christian's water, he ordered us 2 24 cases of water from Whole Foods, but they're all out of water. So Philly is going crazy trying to find bottled water. And they're already canceling orders.
Mother hasn't texted me back because when I need my mother to text me, she doesn't fucking text me. Because I know she's got at least 3 cases of water in her house, because that's literally all my mother drinks is bottled water. Like, that's, and Denise pours her little Kool-Aid powder. And
the water today is
have.
COVID toilet paper. Katie's in the chat. She said the water today is COVID toilet paper.
Katie,
I miss you.
Like I was saying earlier, make sure everybody buys a life straw and drink out of your local puddle. It should be safer than your tap water.
My uncle said they're limiting purchases. Yeah, of course. I get really angry at myself, okay? And I shouldn't. But literally we ran out of water, and I was like, we should go get water. And this was like maybe a day or 2 ago. And I was like, we really need to get a case of water. And I was like, we'll just wait until like we were going to go grocery shopping on literally Monday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We were going to go.
Fuck me, right?
And now what I hear is my dad's voice in my head, because that's my internal, I don't know.
I told you so voice?
That's my I told you so. Well, you should have just went. Why didn't you just go? Why didn't you just do it? Well, now you're going to die. Now it's your fault. And I'm like, okay, hold on. We need to stop. We need to we need to take a
Yeah.
pause. Yeah.
That's the shame voice.
Yeah, that's the you fucked up. How did I know that the water supply was going to be contaminated on the Lord's Day? How did I know that? And they were just here. They were just here. Like they came here for 24 hours to bring my grandfather back. Yeah, they were just here. Oh, Katie was saying she's down for a water adventure later if needed. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm
See how
about to
that
buy a
goes.
case on Instacart, no lie. Like, I'm looking at Instacart right now. Giant has 24 packs of Deer Park.
Is this something that's going to blow up and get really crazy and we can't drink our water for like weeks and weeks and weeks? I have no idea.
Right, because it says from today until further notice.
Until further
There's
notice.
there's no date that says this should be cleared. It's just, and that's why I started thinking about other places whose water supply has been affected negatively, because I'm like, I feel like that's what they heard too, and it's been over 10 years. I don't even know anymore.
I think what it is like they have no one available on a Sunday to test. Like I don't know. I don't know what the fucking deal is. But this is something that a city that I've never had to deal with this in the time that I've been alive in this city. So I just sometimes I get in my head, right, and I'm like, I fall a little bit into my dad's sort of like doomsday prepping tendencies, and I'm like, okay, you're ridiculous. Now you got your basement full of stuff, and you're being fucking stupid. And then situations like this come up, and I'm like, was I being fucking stupid though? Was it a dumb idea?
Yeah. I mean, it is a shame that like prepping comes with weird connotations of conservatism for whatever reason,
Right.
but
Yeah. Like there's a way to be like not too much about it, but just like be prepared. Like that's the point, to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, I think being like just general preparedness is a good thing. Like, I was thankful that we had some level of foresight here when we had a power outage in South Philly, which we, as I said in that episode, we had never had before then, and
Like a
thankfully
power
we had
outage to that scale before, you mean?
right,
Yeah.
not where our like neighborhoods, all of South Philly goes dark. That never happened, but
Right.
we actually had a light bulb in our living room that was meant for that. It kind of can charges itself.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if all the power goes out, it remains on.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was, so that was useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, other weird things have been happening in Philly in particular, like in our area, like the two news stories of the day. It was just 2 days ago, maybe a day ago. It was like there was a house around here where there was a kids locked in a cage, kids locked in a dog cage.
Naked 6-year-old boy locked in a cage, had 2 sisters. All were removed by CPS. They were all malnourished and covered in diseases and lice and all of that wonderful shit that comes along with child abuse. And then yesterday, a baby and a mother were taken to the hospital, and a man was found dead, and they were covered in fentanyl powder. And that happened around the corner from where I grew up.
Yeah.
I love this city.
Yeah, people really been losing their fucking minds around here, and I'm not really sure why.
I mean, I don't know. We can sit here and speculate. My guess though is that the amount of continuous stress that we have been under here in the States, with the way COVID was handled, the way lockdown was handled,
Yeah.
The way things are going politically here. Other countries are terrified because, the supposed, and I use this very loosely, the supposed, lone superpower that is the United States, the alpha and omega of the world. I'm kidding, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
We're America's a legend in its own mind, but
for fucking real.
but it isn't good if we fall to Christian nationalism and Christofascism. These things are dangerous. It is bad if we fall to that. It is bad for the world. It is. I mean, and once again, it's not to say that we're special, but given our place on the world stage,
right, a country of our size and influence,
exactly,
I
which
guess.
someone from Sweden was just talking about this on social media.
Yeah.
Given our size, given our influence, it isn't good. It isn't good. It's bad. It's incredibly bad.
As somebody who's out of a country and has never lived in America, I do have that outside looking in perspective.
Yeah, what is your perspective?
The only people who don't have to listen to American news, typically speaking, are American, right? Anybody else in the world, your country is affected by what goes on in America, period, end, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend we didn't have right-wing bullshit here like we did prior to 2016, but holy fuck, Trump magnified everything bad about a lot of that shit, and it was far, far wider reaching than just America, right?
Yeah,
everybody always just
global,
looks at like, yeah, because Americans kind of have like this unique blinder on where if they don't leave the country often or consistently talk to people out of the country, you have this weird, I don't want to call it an echo chamber because it's not, but it's like, I'm going to call it the Thunderdome, right? You're either in the Thunderdome or you're out of the Thunderdome, and you think a different way when you're in the Thunderdome. It's like watching a post-apocalyptic television show, right? We can sit back and moralize why people do and don't do the things they do in it, but we're not in the fucking Thunderdome, right? We're not living those situations. We're not dying of fucking hunger pangs and thirst, right? So to be outside of it is a bit of a different experience, right? But it's comorbid. Anything that goes on inside the Thunderdome affects everything outside of it, right? And ultimately, American politics never stop at America. It's just where it starts, and it spreads to the rest of the world.
It's like a
and
disease.
As much as you say America is, you said, oh, America is kind of this lone rogue superpower. Y'all are. Y'all are, okay? I mean, I know we got NATO and shit, right? And I know there's like some semblance of international camaraderie, and actually no, camaraderie is the wrong fucking word to use. It's like chess, right? You have opposition powers positioning to keep each other in check.
Right.
America is so big, y'all can bully other countries to do shit that you don't want them to, they don't want to do, just because you have the force to do it. And you'll do it because you're on top, and you do it all the time, and we're used to it because it's status quo and it's business as usual, right? But the fact that we just take all of this violence that comes at your hands and we treat it like it's just the fucking wallpaper of existing on planet Earth kind of shows how deeply involved in Stockholm syndrome we as a human species are with empires, right? Because look at how people still worship fucking Rome or the USSR. Anything that becomes an emperor, like an empire, or like gives people this weird sense of like colonial allegiance, it just goes so fucking wrong. Right? And that's what everything comes down to. Is everybody's trying to recreate empires, whether it's financial empires, whether it's physical empires through arms and bullets and trade lines, right? The problem is, and always will be, people trying to hold control over other people and to get them to do something with their time that they don't actually want to do because it's better for the person in power's vested interests. It's that simple, right?
Yeah.
So like, we kind of are actually held hostage by what America wants. And like, look at Chile and what happened in when America didn't want them to elect a fucking socialist, and how they like did a coup. They do a coup about it, or do a little fucking union bust about it if you're asking for your rights too fucking much. Like, realistically, I don't think there's many more people to fear in the world than like the American government or the Chinese government or like the North Korean government or like the Russian government. Because
those are the main
from what I've
powers at
seen,
play.
and I'm just listing those because they're at the top. Do not be disillusioned to think that your local despot is any better, right? It's everywhere in the world where a person can wrest power from others and sit on top of a pyramid. They fucking will. Actually, that's probably an incorrect explanation because pyramids aren't like that. We barely even fucking understand what pyramids are about. So like they sit on top of a fucking ladder. There you go. And they kick down at anybody climbing up the fucking ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So
are they just big rocks made with sand? Like
no, and I keep telling people pyramids aren't three-sided, they're four-sided on top and four-sided underneath. So I'm pretty sure they're just a half submerged octahedron. But that is neither here nor there.
I was making a Kunk on Earth joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever want to derail me, talk about geometry, and I will immediately start talking about icosahedrons and dodecahedrons and the octahedrons. Oh, and did you know that you can also call a cube a hexahedron if you really want to be a pedantic fuck?
Today I did learn geometry. Was not my strong point in school, and I don't think it will ever be. There was something we were talking about yesterday. It was a first grade math problem. It was draw a shape with the fuck was
4 sides and 3 angles.
4 sides,
and it was on a first grade math homework, or something
and
like
my
that. Draw a
dumbass
shape
brain
that has
was like,
4 sides.
I have no idea.
And I was like, oh, it's a cone. Duh. Like,
is it?
It's not a pyramid because a pyramid actually has, as you said, pyramid has 4 sides,
right? Because
like
it has
4
a square
sides and
base.
4 angles.
Yeah.
It's essentially half of an octahedron. You heard it here, folks. Go look at a top-down photo of the pyramids. They're not three-sided. If you've ever thought that, I'm sorry you were misled.
Yeah, they was well. The base is square, so there you go.
The base is square. Right.
Gotta have 4 sides. I was thinking what you were saying, Sophia, about the Thunderdome mentality, because it is real. It happens because like even I still slip into it, knowing that there is a world outside of the borders of the United States, like knowing full well there is more countries out there than just this. But when shit's popping off here in like the States, I'm like, man, the world is crazy, and I'm like, well, that's not like this isn't the world. Like the US is not the world, but there is this sort of mentality.
We are trained.
We're
there's
trained.
a level of I've always said that, and I use that word not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but but there is a level of indoctrination growing up here, conditioning, where you can start to see the world very microcosmically. But that's because we're taught to think that the only place worth living is America.
Because the world is here, because we're so diverse and we're so the melting pot and the this and the that, and it's like you don't need to see the rest of the world because we have the world here. Like, that's kind of the vibe.
Right, and we're kind of like, you also hear the rhetoric in a lot of ways growing up, I remember definitely, where it was kind of like, the silly customs of other places, they're like, it was almost like it's quirky. Look at look at the Japanese people with their love of cute squishy food, like that's so quirky, haha, and it's so disrespectful. And of course you don't know that when you're young and you're growing up.
Exactly, yeah.
But we see everything as like, oh, that's so quaint, that's so quirky, that's whatever, and it's like but it's somebody else's entire world, you know what I mean? It's their entire life, it's their whole thing, and now of course I don't have that because like I crave to leave, but I think one thing that all of our listeners who maybe aren't, I'd assume that most of our listeners are probably Canadian and US citizens, I suppose.
The majority of our listeners come from North America, so
okay.
Split somewhere between the US and Canada.
Okay. But for those who, if anybody hears this who don't, keeping in mind too that the vast majority of Americans can't travel. America, another thing that people don't talk about often, and I've talked about it here, but I like to make sure that people really understand this, is that for Americans to travel, it's much cheaper to travel from somewhere else. Like if you're Europeans travel much more because it's cheaper. For them, it is incredibly expensive for Americans to travel outside of the United States.
Yeah.
And most Americans are not wealthy. There is also there is a big illusion that a lot of young British people are trying to tell other British people and other European people, I know anyway, a lot of European people believe that if you're American, you're wealthy. There's this odd thing that happens elsewhere That is not true. It is once again this illusion that is placed by America to make it look as if we are rich and, abundant.
Right. It's like, yeah, is the American dollar stronger in some countries other than America? Sure, yeah. But see, like, all I keep getting blasted with is articles of like, I live in X country on my American salary and I'm super happy because my money goes so much further. Like, I get blasted with those articles all the fucking time.
I see that. Sorry, go ahead. I was just saying I see that too.
That's why a lot of people, I found out, that's why people often move to Dubai, for instance.
Yeah.
You can get rich really fast in Dubai, and you don't have to pay taxes.
Do not be visibly queer in Dubai.
Oh, do not be queer, but I'm saying, and don't move to Dubai. This is not an endorsement of moving to Dubai. Dubai, no. This is not an endorsement of that. This is it's sort of a condemnation. But people also tend to move oddly to the Philippines as well. Similar situation. Similar, not the same, but and less rich people, I guess. Typically rich people. Less 1%y.
Yeah, most Americans, like, we don't have, like, the average American does not make enough money to do well in life. They make enough money to survive.
We survive. I was going to say that. Yep.
Maybe if you're lucky, you save up for a little vacation or something.
To like Disney World or Universal.
But that's the American dream right now. That's the average American. It's just. But like I was saying earlier, before everything fucking crashed and fell apart with the stream, kind of like the idea in America is that we're trapped in this mentality of work or die, because if you're not working, then you deserve to die, because we don't want to take care of you if you can't work. We just don't care if you can't work. If you're disabled, we don't care. If you're too sick, we don't care. You only have the right to health care and to see a doctor if you have a job. Like, that's what it comes down to, is, do you have a job? And then you start, and then even that has its own brand of bullshit, right? Because it starts with, well, do you have a job? Well, yeah, I have a job. I work 40 hours a week. Oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I work at Walmart. Lots of fucking people work at fucking Walmart, I work at Walmart. I work 40 hours a week. Well, why are you working at Walmart? Get a better job. Well, why can't Walmart just pay me enough to live? Like that, but that's the question that's never asked here. Like, that's the thing that's never asked here. And so it just becomes this society and this system of, we'll just get another job, get a better job, get a third job, get a fifth job, and just work, and then die.
I think it is asked. I think the problem really is that they don't care. They being the corporation of Walmart.
Right.
The institution of. They don't give a shit.
But people need a job, and then so they work at Walmart and take it.
But listen to the average conservative when they try to bring up talking points like skilled labor. They talk about how people who work at McDonald's, they shouldn't be making this much money because it's McDonald's. Anyone can do it, and it's like, you're an asshole. No.
Not anyone could do it. I couldn't do it because my rage timer would time out, and I'd be throwing burgers at people's faces.
Right. Everyone has a skill set. Everything should be, in order for a society to actually thrive, everyone should be valued in a society, in a civilization, and this is why
it's not the American way.
Right, but this is why America is doomed to repeat the history of every other empire that has ever existed. Yes, we might be what we are, we might have the world stage, but every other, if history has shown us anything, is that empires fall.
They always
and the problem is that it's always the people who are sacrificed, on their whatever. And that's the thing that I'm concerned about.
I've been saying fuck Rome for a long time. Fuck Rome, fuck the US, fuck any empire that has ever started or whatever. You past, present, and future empires, fuck them. They don't work.
Yeah.
Fun fact, little infographic. The Walton family, which consists of 7 Waltons, their net value combined is more than the bottom 150 million people in United States of America. I worked for Walmart. I got injured. I'm permanently disabled now thanks to fucking Walmart. I did what I was supposed to do. I went to college. I got the good job, and I got fucked because I got titties on my chest. Fuck Walmart.
Yeah. Walmart's a piece of shit.
We can't just form angry mobs. I say it again. There are enough people.
I know that there are enough people. And like that's the thing that like that's where the disconnect comes in for me, is like there's so much bad shit happening here, and people and you talk to like the average person, they're like, man, like this sucks, I ain't got enough money for this, gotta pay my bills, this, or doctors cost too much. Like everyone talks about the same thing, gas prices, this and that. Everyone talks about the same shit. We can all, like, regardless of whether you're a conservative, Democrat, or whatever the fuck you are, we can all commiserate and say shit costs too much, and it's really hard to make a fucking living out here. Everyone can agree on that, and yet once you start to say, okay, well, there is a way to change that, and that is through our political system, but also we could just fucking throw bricks at the fucking, you know what I mean? Like we could all get together and start throwing bricks. We could, but why won't we?
So I actually have a really good metaphor or simile for this if you want to hear it.
But I think there's a fear. I guess all I want to say is like, just, yeah, I can hear you, Sophia. Just before you launch into your thing, I think the reason why we don't is because we're too scared to lose. Because they'd be like, well, you lost your job now. Now you die. You know, and we're just not equipped to fend for ourselves right now. So, yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
So fear is an underlying factor, yes, but I'm going to hit you with a completely different problem that I've resigned myself to. I talk all the time about not getting into relationships and how I've kind of given up on it, right? Statistically, that doesn't make sense, right?
Okay.
For how many queer people who are available, who have emotional compatibility with me and lifestyle compatibility, there's a significant amount, and there's a lot of people who would want to date me, right? But because I've lived in a circumstance where I've never truly had a solid relationship that I felt like would carry me long term or could be a life partner to roll with, I've given up hope on it because it's the most healthy way for me to live, right? Because if I pine for what I don't have, I'm going to die. Not physically, but emotionally. Yes. It's the same reason people give up hope on change, right? It's not because statistically it makes sense, or it's not even because it's the objective truth of what's going to happen. Fuck, I could find the love of my life tomorrow for all I know. Fuck, I could have already found the love of my life and not have had my life circumstances open up in a way for me to date that person and have us come together. I don't fucking know. I might have 4 different loves of my life that I get to have at a different point, right? But I relinquish all hope, yet don't stop giving up following up on chances. You know what I mean? Relinquishing hope is a survival tactic, right?
Yeah.
And I do it consciously and willingly to cause myself less emotional struggle, right? And that's what most people do with expecting change on a large scale. The key difference is I don't give up on love and I don't give up on large scale change. I may not believe it, right? Because if I believe it and I think about it, I'm going to be up every fucking night at 3 a.m. wondering why I'm alone and unable to sleep, because trust me, it fucking happens all the time, right? But if I press on, I make my life better, I do therapy, I fucking read books and fucking have a career and build a social support network and do all the things that I need to take care of myself, that thing that seems so impossible is actually going to come. And it's not because I'm going out there and seeking it, but because I'm taking care of all the factors that lead to it, right? You could say, why don't I have a person to be with? And a lot of that comes from like a place of codependency and expecting somebody to be there through all of your bad times with you. And sometimes if you meet the right person who's already been through their own shit and emotionally processed, if you haven't emotionally processed your own shit, they're going to meet you and be like, yo, we're not on the same wavelength. You're not even like processing your trauma. I've already done this, and I'm not going to sit here and play savior with someone and work them through their shit that they should have done on their own, right? Sometimes it's for your own best interest that you have to like struggle a little bit on that so you don't fuck up later opportunities. Because trust me, I found somebody I was compatible with and I deeply loved, and because I hadn't done my work, I fucked everything up, and we're not even friends anymore, and we don't even talk. And this is like 6 years ago now, right? I ain't even gonna say her name, it doesn't even matter. But point being, the hopelessness you feel is a survival tactic that has been ingrained in humanity for eons. But do not let yourselves think that it is objectively true, reasonable, or the outcome that is going to happen. It is how we stay alive. It is how we get through pain. It is how we get through trauma. But we need to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And statistically, this cannot continue. No empire lasts. Nothing can ever get so far out of balance that it supports a tip, like if you don't build a proper foundation, you can pile up all the shit you want on top and it will fall eventually. And all the crushing weight will be felt at the bottom, but believe you me, every bit of impact will come at the top when it topples over. Yeah. It's just fucking architecture, right? So yeah, it may hurt and we may feel hopeless, but trust me, something's gonna fucking happen because it has to. And that's the way that history works, and that's the way that humans work.
That's the thing, is like, I take that responsibility on myself. I don't know why. I take this responsibility of like the human race, and I'm like, okay, now I have to do something. I have to create this big wave of change, but then I am crushed under this, like we were saying, like hopelessness, like feeling of hopelessness. Then I'm like, I'm just one person. How am I supposed to save the world? Like, I have a savior complex, and I know that about myself. That's where it's hard for me. But like, and yet at the same time, I'm like, all right, but I guess like I just have to disconnect from that. And then like minutes before we just got on to the fucking recording for the podcast, I just was like, oh, you know, I have to finally just buy the clothes that I'm gonna wear for my own fucking hand fasting. Like, I haven't even, like, put attention into that because everything else, you know, one, it's just being busy with other things, but just, like, the crushing hopelessness of the world. It's like, why do I even care about this if we're all just gonna fucking die? You know, like, I get into those, like, really dark sort of moods that I can't, it's hard to get myself out of. It's just...
I hit you with something. How can you save the world if you're struggling with yourself? Right?
Yeah. And I know that logically makes sense.
You can't, right? And that's the thing is, I read a post this morning and it fucking hits this nail and every other nail on the head. Most modern issues is trying to do things that historically require a community and then wondering why you're struggling to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's a nail on the head there.
Does one person ever save the world?
No.
No.
Only in fucking fantasy.
Even if you think that one person saves the world, like some rich billionaire sitting on top of something, I want you to think about how many people are involved in the supply chain and structure to get that person their egregiously attained wealth, right? That is not his work. That is the work of millions upon millions of people collaborating on a system that is greater than them, that makes something way bigger happen. Right? Every single great thing we have accomplished as a species is done together. Not even like, think about this. You didn't even have to design clothing. You didn't even have to struggle to figure out how to stay warm to the elements. You didn't even have to struggle how to find out food. Almost all of the basic things that we needed to exist as a species and as a people were here and presented to us by our ancestors and other people.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing is ever done as an individual, okay? And anybody who thinks that they're just going to go walk off into the woods by themselves and die and prove why humans can't do that, we never did that to begin with. We were in groups out in the woods.
Yeah.
God, And that's the problem, is that we have this individualist mindset of modern society, and it is a colonial traumatic artifact. And it is a key cornerstone in keeping people complacent, disconnected, and feeling powerless because they think they have to do everything themselves and they have to be perfect at everything instead of relying on people who care about them and giving care back and building an intermeshed community that allows you to do these things.
Yeah, that's literally
We're
me. It's
failing
like,
because we're doing it alone.
I love community building so much, and yet I still feel like I'm responsible for everybody. Like, it's just the weirdest disconnect, but it's like, I know that we need to come together, but how? You know, like, how do you unify a bunch of fractured, broken fucking people?
You start by fighting your own hopelessness.
Yeah.
And then you move out from there, and you refuse to be hopeless, and you refuse to let others be hopeless, and you shine like a fucking light in the darkness for everybody else who needs it. If you notice, I get really impassionate on this type of stuff. It's because I've been in that place where I gave up and I wanted to just not do anything else because I thought I was defeated, you know? The only thing that carries me on through life is the fire that I know that things can change, that I've seen things change, even on smaller scales in my time. It's fucking buck wild when you see things that have happened like 10 years ago that you had a hand in that changes shit, right? Like, it seems impossible until it's done. And I implore everybody to not give up hope, because you can't do it without keeping that hope together, right? If you give up, that's okay too. Not everybody is going to be the people who fight this battle, you know. Some people are going to have to just be the ones who survive, and that's okay, you know. But if you truly feel like it's your job to save the world, well, you got to do something about it, right? And I'm gonna be dead honest, that's the whole reason I even feel like I'm here, is to help save the world, right? And I say help because I know it's not a singular thing. It's not like I'm gonna roll up on fucking God himself and go shoot him, right? God, but think about this. Final Fantasy, right? You literally kill God in every one of those games. Same with Shin Megami Tensei games. What do you have? You have a community. You have a network. You have people who do stuff together.
Well, yeah, even in Final Fantasy games, it's usually a party. Yeah, it's like the story may be centered around a main character, but there's still a party, you know?
No true great task is ever centered around an individual. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Speaking of community,
Also, I'm alive. I'm sorry, I was dying off.
Oh yeah, I saw you were sneezing a bunch. What were you saying, Scott?
Speaking of community, my mom's oldest friend just came and gave us 6 gallons of water.
Beautiful.
See? Hang on to hope, people, because it fucking miracles happen.
I do want to talk about hope for a minute. As somebody who's been in therapy for quite some time. Thing about hope, firstly, you need it. You can't survive without it. Even people who feel like they can't, you got to try to keep it alive. But how you keep it alive is the problem for a lot of people. And from my experience, hope is best managed by managing expectations. Hope should always remain. Hope should be, I mean, sure, sometimes hope can be a beautiful blazing fire, and then other times it's a tiny little light in a very dark room, right? But no, be realistic, be practical, know that this will not change tomorrow. Things will not change in 2 years, at least not drastically. The changes that we talk about on this podcast for the last 103 episodes, I don't even know.
It is actually this is our 103rd episode. You're right on the
money. For the last 103 episodes, pretty much, these things are honestly, in my opinion, an inevitability. They're going to come. It's just not today, and oddly, as weird as this sounds, not that it's okay ethically or morally, but it's okay in the sense of I have to have acceptance with the reality of things. that doesn't mean you don't strive for better. You have to work towards these things. Acceptance does not mean you stop, right? Acceptance means you find a place for the trauma and the pain, and it's not a close it away thing. It's a place where you can sort of look at it from a window. You can go and you walk away and you start saying, all right, how do we clean that up? How do we make that better? And you walk away from that window and you start making the moves to make it better, right? Sorry, I'm just associating.
No, you're fine. But really, I mean, what it comes down to too is like what we were saying about community is like just having. But then there's so many of us that don't have community, and how do you bring those people? Like, we're so fractured. Like, despite all of the interconnected, like, oh my god, what was yesterday? We had breakfast with my parents where they left. So it was my sister and her wife and all. We were having breakfast, and the discourse, some of the discourse was surrounded by how they were going to ban TikTok. There's talks of banning TikTok again. And like I think my sister was like, "Oh yeah, sure, ban it, if it's that bad." And then honestly, me and Ro were in the camp of like ban all social
ban
media.
It all.
They all collect our information and sell it to people and perpetuate. You know what I mean? Like,
Facebook
it's all
got a
shit.
13-year-old girl arrested because they sold her information to the fucking cops. So fuck it. Ban Facebook, ban Instagram, ban. I don't give a shit. Ban the internet.
Yeah, because like for all of the interconnectedness that the internet has supposedly done for us, it's also fragmented us, I think, a whole lot at the same time. Like, it's connected us but also fragmented us. So I don't know.
It really comes. So the reason the fragmenting started, I read a lot about this phenomenon because, one, I love the internet. I absolutely adore the internet.
As
I
a
love
tool, yeah.
learning. I love being able to be like, academia.com, tell me about, the history of witchcraft in Italy from an academic perspective. I like being able to do that. However, I think that the internet comes as a double-edged sword, right? We have more knowledge at our fingertips than we ever have in the history of man,
and we're being dumber than we've ever fucking been.
Well, right. The thing is that when you are saturated with information, the problem then becomes discernment as to what information is viable, what is correct, what is useful, versus what is, harmful, what is incorrect, what is not factual. And that compared with an annoyingly persistent but understandable thing about humans is we have ideologies and we have beliefs. And the thing is that a lot of those things are easily manipulated.
Yeah.
When information begins to form information bias, what is it, bias? Something, yeah, is information bias? Is that what it's called? Yeah. We want to cling to information that verifies what we think or feel about a thing.
To reinforce our own ideologies.
Correct.
We don't like things that challenge generally, we don't like things that challenge our worldview.
Correct. And the thing is that what people have a hard time understanding, and this was me as well, especially early, 2016 and all that, is that it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with lack of intelligence. It has nothing to do with any of that. As we've said multiple times here, hence why there are conservative doctors and psychologists and economists, etc. It has all to do with ideas and beliefs about the world that we live in.
Right. It's like many people believe that, like, no, you just have to work for everything you have. Like, no one should just be given anything. Like, we should not be, like, charitable. We shouldn't care about everybody. Like, that's an ideology. And that just gets reinforced.
Right. I mean, it was weird. I was just watching, I don't know who this man was. He was on some talk show or news or whatever. I don't know. But I was appalled but interested at his love of capitalism. This man is like, I love the 1%. And he goes on to say that it gives everyone the opportunity to strive for something better, they said. They will, when other people see the 1%, they want to rise up there and be like them.
Well, of course,
and
who doesn't want shit tons of cash?
And, right, I was going to say that. But, of course, now, while his words were tone deaf, he was ignorant, he was a lot of things, but the thing is that he believed himself virtuous. He believed himself righteous. He believed truly that the 1% gave inspiration to the rest of people to make us want to be part of the 1%.
That's a hot, spicy. But see, the thing, I think a lot of people do think similar to that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, once again, I don't think like the lay conservative, the typical Southern or Midwestern person. I don't generally think that they actually believe it. I don't really even know that they know what they believe.
Right. Yeah.
I think that they're incredibly indoctrinated by their parents, who were indoctrinated by their parents, who were indoctrinated by. Yeah, you get the idea here, right? Right, and it falls down, it falls down, it falls down. But that's everywhere in America. But everyone here, and I think Sophia too, knows why I'm talking specifically about the Midwest and the South of the United States.
Well, because if you look at how we're split, it's on each coast it's blue, and then it's red in the middle. Mm-hmm. And that's the general breakdown of the political breakdown of the U.S. So the two coasts are ones with the sort of like left-leaning, more liberal, help everyone ideology, and then the middle, which I've been reminded of on Twitter by a lot of people living in the middle. They feed the country. They're where all the farms are. And so, like, they can decide to starve each side out if they wanted to. And so it's just, they hold a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess to sort of, not to wrap up, but to sort of conclude what I'm trying to get at, or furthermore, anyway, expand upon it, is that our biggest issue is excess. The knowledge that we have, the even the amount of people. Sometimes I wonder I wish we could disperse more, but because we're so big, it's so hard to take care of everything.
There's
I wonder
so
if we're
many
just
of them.
massive.
That's where I'm like, I don't know why people are freaking out about birth rate declines. I'm like, we have so many people.
That's a conservative nonsense talking point, and it's silly. But
there are 8 billion of us. There don't need to be no fucking more.
Yeah.
I think
rates are tied to a accelerationist Cold War mindset. Sorry, please continue, Scott.
But I also think more than just like the population size, because I think it's much deeper than that. Or the size of our, you know what I mean to say, not population size, but the size of America.
Yeah.
What I think more is that it's the excess that we live under. We here in the States, we believe that we need to have multitudes of everything.
Yep.
Right? I've said this before, but I would be so content with a very small cereal aisle. In Europe, like when my cousin came back from Spain, and everywhere he traveled in Europe when he was there, he's like, the cereal aisles there are tiny. He was like, you have like maybe like what, like tops like 5 whatever choices to choose from. Like we don't need
1,000 cereals.
We don't need it all. We don't need it all. You can have a simple life, a simple economy, simplify. Don't make more trouble. Why is it that I need paperwork to sign my paperwork to sign my paperwork to get somewhere? Like we don't need more. We need less. Actually, I think that there's too much. And I think that we've when I say we, I mean certain generations who experienced a boom, who had an excessive wealth, who had, and then squandered it, and didn't think about the future, only thought about themselves. And, and again, once again, I know I've said before, I don't I'm not trying to endorse that
boomers.
generational war nonsense. I hate that. But
makes me feel better sometimes. Ultimately,
but also
it's
baby
pointless.
boomers did fuck up the entire world, and it is not generational war to point that out. That's just a science fact.
There's a difference between facts.
Sorry, y'all. If you don't like history, don't write it that way.
Sometimes the fact is just a fact.
Yeah.
But I think excess is our problem. Also, levels of I mean, I think we can't paint any of this with a single brush.
No, there's
stroke.
so many layers. It's such a multi-layered fucking issue.
So complicated. I mean, even earlier in the conversation when we were talking about why people don't rise up, I mean, there are
1,000 reasons.
Social exhaustion. There are, communal exhaustion. There's also the effects of what is it? So the thing about what happened in Salem, psychologists called it
like hysteria.
Mass hysteria, the effects of mass hysteria. Like, I mean, it is multitudes. It is so complicated. It's not just people are lazy or they don't care. I mean, sure, there's that too, but like it's exhaustion. It's that. It's the fear of losing your job. It's the fear of reprisals and repercussions and it's so much. It is so much. It is no one has time. That's another thing. People don't feel they have time. Who can stop work to go protest?
Right, because if you
that
stop
day of work pays your bills.
Right, because if you don't go to work to go protest, then you can't feed yourself. So then it loops back to, okay, well, now I need to figure out, okay, so in order to go protest, I need to figure out a way to feed myself. Okay, but I live in a city and I only have one patch of dirt in front of my house. That's not enough dirt to grow enough food to support myself. I also don't have room for livestock. So it's like, how do I support myself? Well, the only way I can support myself in this modern, urban setting that I live in, not everyone does, but like the only way I can do that is to go obtain food, to go buy it, or something like that.
And it's not even always legal in urban settings for us to even have things like chickens, to have our own eggs and stuff
in
like
Philly,
that. It's not always legal.
Yeah, it's not legal right now to have a chicken in Philly. You have to submit 1,000 papers and exceptions and all this bullshit just to have a chicken.
I have a friend who tried. He's been fighting it. He's kind of getting into urban for semi-urban urban homesteading.
Mm-hmm.
And he recently was just lamenting about how he lost his case, if you will, to have chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is incredibly complicated, and
you can't collect rainwater.
Oh yeah, we can't write rainwater. Yep, there are things that and then if you do, you have to pay fines.
Yeah,
paying fines costs money. Like it's
just like Rob up where he is up in the county in Bristol. Like he has a huge garden in front of his house. It's got all kinds of stuff. It's got things that people would consider weeds and stuff like that. But he's got all kinds of stuff growing in that garden. And in the summer, you get a big rain for a couple days, and all your shit just just kind of blooms everywhere. And yeah, okay, some of your flowers and your plants might be a little bit onto the sidewalk, like in front of your house. God fucking forbid, like my plants are a little leaning over on the sidewalk. He gets fined for that, for overgrown weeds. It's utterly absurd.
Something, guillotine your oppressors, something.
Yep. And then the cycle continues. We come back to the
same. I mean, look at France. Y'all see they had another riot over there, right?
Yeah, they did. They burned one of their historical political buildings to the ground.
I love the French.
Wow,
if only.
Even though the nerd in me who loves architecture cried because the building was beautiful, but I understood.
Don't say if only, Jay. Say soon or when.
When. Soon. I don't know how it would go down over here. We have a lot of guns in America, Like I don't know how it would go down. What it looks like. What's that revolution? What's that tipping point gonna look like? Like that's
another problem.
Maybe it'll be aliens.
I saw a fucking tweet that was reposted to every fucking social media, whatever, and it was like, listen guys, if the aliens come, I'm immediately defecting to the alien side. I don't care. And I was like,
maybe
yeah,
like,
same. I don't care.
Maybe like aliens are fourth dimensional beings who are going to choose to reveal themselves to us and say, y'all are being fucking children about this and it's time to grow up. And when we try to shoot guns at them, they make the bullets grow too big so they won't even fire out the barrels, and then the guns are fucking useless. And they're like, y'all gotta stop with this shit right now.
That's
We're
what
done.
I want.
It's
America
over.
needs mommy and daddy to come down, whether that's in the form of aliens.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Fucking, there's prophecies about this, my friend.
I'm in.
I ain't
I
gonna,
welcome our
I ain't gonna
alien
mention them
overlords.
on air. I wouldn't say aliens per se, but I would like to just say, you know, it's my best bet is extra dimensional shit. And by extra dimensional, it doesn't mean shit that has come to contact our dimension. It means shit that has existed the whole time that we're not capable of perceiving, the same way that a two-dimensional drawing can't conceive of the space that drew it.
I don't doubt that. You know, I don't rule anything out at this point.
Scott's like, Sophia, what have you been reading?
I'm actually stress eating popcorn.
Oh my god!
Literally
no.
popcorn, though. That's great.
That's okay.
I'm like over here going nom nom nom. Yep, whatever. Nom nom nom. Yes, Sophia.
I love it.
I feel that in my bones.
Anyways, we should probably wrap it up, right? It's been like an hour.
It's
Y'all
been
probably what? You're stress eating. It's probably time to go.
Yeah, it's been well, we also had like maybe 5 minutes before it crashed earlier, so I don't remember what that was.
We have to get up. We have to find water. We have to go. We have to go now.
Yeah, we should probably go find some water. Did your mom get back to you?
Nope.
Oh. Okay, well, we have to go venture out into the... Well, it's okay. We've survived COVID. All right?
Yeah.
We know how it fucking works.
So,
fucking
as
God.
for my wrapping conclusions,
yes.
Use magic. That's what it's there for. Try to use magic, make your life easier and the lives of those around you easier.
Do magic in groups if you can. Boost that power. Like, get together with other people. Do something.
And don't
together.
talk about it.
Yeah,
just do it and shut up.
Fine, Scott. You know what's funny is I was gonna say something, but the memes keep telling me that there's something I know that I'm not supposed to fucking talk about because it's gonna happen and I can't talk about it. So I was gonna say a whole bunch of shit. But I'm just gonna put a pin in it and say soon, motherfuckers.
I like that. I like that.
But yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, and be there for one another.
Yes.
If you can, like, if you have the ability to get water for your neighbor, or maybe your neighbor can give you the money, maybe they can't leave because they're watching their kid or something. Like, just do the thing. You know, like just
whether it's
if
like
you
can Instacart them some shit, like whatever you have the means to do. Whatever
just
you
help.
have the means to do.
You know, just care for one another, as I've said 1,000 times.
Yes. Alrighty. So with that, I know we just got up to 5 viewers as we're kind of like getting into the end of things. But I do want to thank everyone for coming to hang out. Sorry about earlier. I definitely lost my fucking temper. I don't even know if that was even on there. I cracked my headphones in half by throwing them. So anyway,
shit.
When everything went to shit. I'm an Aries. I'm a sun sign. Whatever. I'm allowed to be mad.
Plus, it's a season.
Anyway, yes. So with that, we are going to sign off. Me and Rue are going to venture out and find some water because Philly can't drink our water. So we will see you all in the next one, and hopefully this situation will be resolved, and we won't be in the chapter 1 of the apocalypse. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, don't worry. We'll still be in chapter 1 of the apocalypse. Maybe if we're lucky, maybe if we're really lucky, it'll be chapter 2 by
chapter
next
2.
episode.
Move it along a little further, right? All right. With that,
bye everyone.
We will see you all in the next one.
Bye.
Jay?